And welcome to another episode of DIOTALK. Let's talk. I'd like to present my guest of the evening. His name is Mike Brown. He is the host of
The art of letting go.
podcast. There you go. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing really good. I'm excited to be here. I really appreciate you having me on.
Oh, thank you. I know it's been a kind of hectic schedule for me, scheduling this, but I appreciate your patience and your commitment towards this. Yeah, man. Let's jump right in. What inspired you to start this amazing podcast?
Man, I started this podcast because therapy was too expensive for me. If I'm just being honest,
I
I
hear
was
that.
yeah, I was going to therapy for a little while, and it I quit my job at the time. It's funny because I just quit my job again last year, but I'm always quitting the
Mm,
job to focus creatively. But this time I had just got into therapy. I had just came out. I just got out of my first relationship. So I
mm.
needed it. And when I couldn't afford it, I said I still needed a place just to speak and share my thoughts and work stuff out. And that's how I started a podcast.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel that. I kind of did the same thing 2 years ago.
Oh wow.
I
Okay.
think 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah. That's how I developed this. I wanted to create a platform for entrepreneurship, but
That's
also
dope.
people to talk about what they're going through or certain passions they have. So I totally get it, man. Kudos to you for you know taking a chance on yourself to to go towards your passion.
I appreciate that, man. And it is not easy. It's definitely a lot of the unknown, but
Mm,
I don't think I would do it any other way. I've always been one foot in the job, one foot in my creative passions because I moved to LA to do music. So that's what I originally came out here for.
wow.
But I've always had a job just kind of as a backup plan.
Wait, you're all the way in LA? I thought you were like in New York when
No,
I
I'm
first.
I'm in LA. Where are you at?
I'm in New Jersey.
Okay, that's what's up. Yeah, I'm in LA.
That's what's up.
Yeah, but I moved out here from Houston. Been out here 12 years, and last year, before I quit my job, I was teaching, and the job just didn't feel as rewarding as it was to pursue my own creative passion. So I ended up
Mm.
giving it up, and you know, I'm almost going on a year of just really being a full time creative entrepreneur, and it takes a lot to shift out of the employee mindset into being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. That's very challenging. When I first started entrepreneurship, you know, I was exhausted. I was burned out. You
Yeah.
know, the frustration of you trying to just like I like to progress. Everything I do is for me to progress, right? And yeah, I was done. I was done with it, and next thing I know, I'm starting a business, and t-shirt printing business, real estate, media, and like you said in the beginning, everything was unknown.
Yeah.
But you have that drive. You're like, fuck it, I gotta do something because this 9 to 5, it's killing me. It's
Yeah.
taking something away from me. Yeah.
And it's easy to get caught up in that getting a check every 2 weeks or however often, for me, it was getting a check every 2 weeks. And it's like whether I work hard, don't work hard, I'm still gonna get the same thing regardless. And stepping into the entrepreneurship, it was like, fuck, I'm working hard every single day. And some days I'm not getting paid for this shit. And that fear of, well, how am I gonna pay my bills? How am I gonna do this? You start figuring shit out. Like and that's so dope that you started so many, like created so many opportunities for yourself. Cause like for me, I started teaching podcasting to kids. I started speaking. I started just finding these other opportunities that if I was at my job, I would have been way too comfortable to even pursue, you know?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I totally understand that. And it's you going out there and making a mess of everything because you
Yeah.
don't know, and then when you were working a 9 to 5, you would get that feeling of, oh shit, did I make a mistake? Am I
Mm-hmm.
gonna get reprimanded?
Yeah. Yeah.
And because one as a business owner, I understand that whoever fucks up, that could be profit loss or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
But as an entrepreneur side, like that's the only way you're gonna learn.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no college degree, there's no mentorship. Even if somebody tries to mentor you, it's gonna come at a cost.
Yeah.
It's
And
either time or money.
my question to you is like, is that stuff even necessary? Because I went to school, I went to college, and I had internships and mentors and shit like that. And I don't think a single person could have prepared me, which yeah, I gained tools along the way, but I feel like with anything you do, like you're gonna gain some tools. But how valuable do you feel like college or mentorship is just in any career that you choose?
I mean, it's valuable if you have a vision and goal, right?
Yeah,
Um, but if you don't have that, it it, it doesn't make sense
yeah,
because as an entrepreneur, you're trying to figure things out. Like even if you go to college, you're there you're there to learn something you're passionate about. That's what now in 2023 people misconstrue a lot.
yeah,
They think the safe thing is to go to a college, get a job, and no, you're essentially going to college or attending university to study your passion,
mm-hmm,
so that now you graduate, you get a job that's going to help you live, get experience, but also fund your dream,
yeah,
because your dream is not going to be fun without execution, money, and passion.
yeah. I always tell people, man, like when you decide to go to college, pick a school and pick a career where you'll see a return on your investment. And what I mean
Mm,
by that is I went to school for audio production. So you have to think about how much are you paying to go to school. I'm in debt like a motherfucker when it comes
mm,
to student loans, but the careers that were available to me don't even match up to the money that I spent. So it's like, in a way, it felt like a scam. And don't get me wrong, like I definitely have made some connections in college and had some experiences that you can't even put a dollar amount on. But at the same time, when you think of like the education part of it, it's just like, man, if you plan to be a photographer, instead of going to spend $100,000 in school, take that $100,000 and invest it in your career.
mm. Well, the thing is that, like, when I tell people, like, even my little sisters, now they're going to college, and I've said this many times in the podcast, like, you want to go to school for business administration.
Yeah,
Because what people don't understand, it doesn't matter what type of business you're in, cleaning, manufacturing, real estate. The money side of the business is always the same.
yeah,
It's cost, it's expensive.
mm-hmm,
Um, what do you need? What money you need to invest to buy fabrics, uh, tools, and even in construction, right?
yeah,
You need to know how to manage your money, and that's the safest way, because you can go to hospital work as that. You can go to a fucking food chain, like you can. That's the backbone of any business.
yeah,
Um, Photographer, the best experience, what I've learned throughout, like, people I met on the podcast, they tell me all the time is pick up a camera, start shooting.
right.
You'll start as you go down the road. You'll start. Just like a musician has its sound,
Yeah,
uh, a photographer has his shot
mm-hmm,
that we know his signature, right? So
mm-hmm,
you just gotta do it. You gotta go pick a camera and just do it.
yeah. How long have you been an entrepreneur?
I've been an entrepreneur. Fuck. That's a very long time. I want to say all my life,
Oh wow, okay. Yeah.
all my life. Even I grew up in Puerto Rico. Even a lot of people will know, like hustling in the streets.
Yeah.
You know, flipping sneakers,
Yeah.
comic books. I'm a big comic book fan.
Okay, that's what's up. Yeah.
Clothes. And it wasn't until like 5 years ago, I think I want to say, give or take, that I realized what entrepreneurship was.
Yeah.
You know, and there's a big difference from being a hustler. A hustler makes its money quick, but it goes quick. An entrepreneur,
Hmm.
you try to make every step you make last for a period of time.
Yeah.
So
Um, how do and I'm asking these questions because like I said, I'm in the like I've definitely been a hustler most of my journey. Like I've sold everything from burnt CDs to like I've like my whole journey, I've always sold
yeah,
something, but really starting a business, it can be challenging in those times when like you don't have income coming in. How did you work through that? Like, how did you not allow yourself to be stressed out during those times?
you're always gonna be stressed. You're always gonna be stressed out.
Yeah,
Always. Is patience
yeah,
and making sure that every move you make counts for something. Like right now, I'm talking to you from my car doing the podcast, right? Because I'm working. One of the reasons I went back to work is because I'm in debt,
yeah,
right? And that's trial and error, trial and
hmm,
error. Understanding that you just can't jump into entrepreneurship and expect to your business to grow. It's not as simple as planting a seed and nurturing it. You need financial aspects of it.
yeah,
When I first started, I started my t-shirt printing business. Uh, in order to make an order, I need to buy shirts.
right,
I need to buy the material. I need machinery, right? So now when I do my cost, I got to add all what I invested plus manual the labor I put in
yeah,
plus taxes. Boom, that's a quote. Real estate, same thing. Um, it was a very tedious job, and let's say, just take example with the podcast. I knew that in order for me to succeed, I needed two things: content and money.
yeah,
So for the last 3 years, I built enough content that if I chop it up and break it up, do clips or reels, it's gonna last me at least a good 5 years.
damn,
Now, yeah, it's 100 and something episodes.
that's
A
what's
lot
up.
of I think this might be 108, 108.
Yeah,
And being consistent, right? And a lot of no's, a
yeah,
lot of no's, um, a lot of crunch time, like right now, crunch time moments, and we're like, I gotta say, fuck it, I gotta do something,
yeah,
right? Um, Now I got the content. Now finding financial stability, and we're now start promoting, pay advertisement, because that's essentially that's what media is.
yeah,
With the printing business, what led me into debt is COVID. Business was moving. I was making 5 to 10 uh, monthly. COVID hit. Nobody started ordering.
yeah,
You know, COVID passed. Now there's everybody has a printing business. So something that now was so valuable for me became so easy to obtain for everybody else. So that affected my business drastically.
yeah,
So then, I stood there doing that a little bit here and there. Then I started doing real estate with my wife during COVID. Shit, I think I closed more houses in COVID than now. But the
damn,
market, it's high, it's very high over here,
yeah,
and not, my opinion, not worth the buying. So being that consistency, like entrepreneurship, money's not gonna come to you. It's not a stable check. It's gonna come. You put in the work for 3, 5 months, maybe 2. You get a
Yeah.
nice chunk, right? Nice chunk. But think about all, rent, bills, credit cards that you have to now pay with that lump sum.
Yeah.
What really are you saving or earning? You're just it's a long period of time of stress. So
Yeah.
balance. Don't do more than what you're supposed to. Don't do less than you have to. Keep right in the middle.
How do you take a break? Like what do you do when you're not working? Like how do you take a break from the work? Because I know working for yourself, it could be a
Mm.
24-hour job.
I invested in jujitsu. I'm a blue belt in
Oh,
jujitsu.
that's what's up.
I stopped because I hurt my knee. I tore my ACL. Uh, I stopped. Planning on going back, but priorities come first. Besides that, I never took a break. I have an autistic child. That at that time frame, nobody was helping me and my wife.
Yeah.
Plus trying to hustle, get him to school, doctor's appointment, just to even get him diagnosed. It was a fucking headache. It was a night. Now it's not easy, but it's more flexible.
Yeah.
It's and now I'm working. I'm doing my own stuff still. Um, my wife has a little flexibility, and my son's going to school, so now it's adjustment time, right? Because the goal is still the same. That through this transition of your goals, anybody's gonna have obstacles, so you got to readjust, right?
Yeah.
Man, so jujitsu is the only thing that really I felt that I was able to decompress
Yeah.
and a lot of deep breaths.
I feel that, man. I feel that. And I feel like I have a little more space to be selfish in my life because I don't have kids, I don't have a family, and I hear a lot of my friends that do have families, like they always tell me, like, man, go for your shit right now while you can, because once you have a family, like it's not as much free time to yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I agree 100%. If I would have known, like, I would have tried to build something first,
Yeah,
or like start a family halfway when I'm almost there, than start from scratch. Because you know one thing a lot of successful people have is that they don't give the value they need to their children.
yeah,
And I know for me and for my wife has made it very difficult, because at the end of the day you have to sacrifice something. That's what people don't understand. And it's been difficult for us because we're not willing to sacrifice anything.
yeah,
We're gonna do this shit together.
yeah,
And it's crazy, right? But in some way or form, as your children see you trying to create something from nothing, it's going to create some type of value.
yeah.
And if not, you can only hope for the best.
Yeah, man. And I agree with that. I think for me, seeing my parents so driven, like my mom was a real estate agent, my dad worked for the post office, but has always had, you know, my dad has always done a lot. I just put it to you
Hmm.
like that. He's always done multiple things. And just seeing both of my parents hustle so hard, like I think that's why I have so much drive myself.
Yeah. Um, One thing I realized, that as you build your vision, and if you have a vision, you can't do it alone.
Yeah.
You can't do it alone. And that's again, trial and error. That's something I've learned throughout this course. And once you have a vision, everything is possible.
Yeah.
You gotta have the right people beside you that can see your vision, that you're able to utilize their talents, but at the same time have them realize what their talents are
Yeah.
and create. Um, so it's a tedious 24/7 thing.
Yeah. I already know. I already know.
Just don't give up. Um, it's
You know,
gonna be a lot of difficult times.
yeah, and it's funny you say that because man, I ain't gonna lie, I feel like I've really been busting my ass with like everything I've been doing lately. And yesterday I had a moment of feeling like, man, like this shit is stress. And I had to remind myself like don't feel defeated, during the fight.
Yeah.
Like and I told myself straight up, and it's funny like how we can shift our thoughts, because like I said, I was feeling a little negative yesterday and I told myself, hey, at the end of the fight, if you still want to choose to feel defeated, then choose that feeling. But while we in it, keep pushing, keep fighting. And that shit shifted my mind, and I woke up feeling inspired, woke up motivated, and really sticking the course of understanding like, man, I'm playing a long game. I'm not playing the
Mm,
the fast game, like you said, hustling. I'm not hustling. I'm actually like really trying to build something.
mm. Yeah, and I can attest that 100%. This is what Dream Inspire 10 is all about.
Yeah,
It's in the long run because when you build something that's longevity, it's gonna last longer. And
yeah,
then one day you're gonna wake up and you're gonna be able to enjoy the fruits of your labor,
yeah,
right? Because it's something about the fast life that people don't understand that when it's gone. And then one moment you wake up and you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like fucking 50 years old.
yeah,
Fucking back knees are killing you. And you're gonna wake up and I'm like, how am I gonna survive now? When my body it's not willing to give anymore.
yeah,
Like I grew up with my grandparents, right? And my grandfather, he he worked so much. He was a businessman, he was a hustler, he was a gangster. He wasn't a perfect man, but he busted his ass, and had assets.
yeah.
He couldn't bend down. His knees were so fucked up he couldn't bend down.
Damn.
And my grandmother had her every night, pull his shoes off, his socks off, you know, uh, with a little small like Tupperware, not Tupperware, but a little plastic thing where she could wash his feet, and
Damn.
then he will go in and bathe himself because when you shower you gotta wash your feet, right? So
Yeah.
he couldn't do that.
Wow.
Um, and some days I'm always thinking about that. Sometimes I live in regret because I was so little, I was so young, I was this fucking little strong little boy, and I couldn't understand that. And now I'm older, and I wish I could go back one more time and help him take off his socks,
Yeah.
help him take off his shoes, wash his feet. Because when I met him, he was already old man. He was ready for his clock out,
Yeah.
but he has all this rich history.
Yeah.
And when I first met my wife, that was the always mentality I had. Everything I do now has to count because it's gonna point in time that like I'm not gonna be able to do shit. And in today's society, everything's about money. I've worked in I like your dad, man. I've worked in a lot of fucking jobs,
Yeah.
right? And I worked in a senior living home, which is like horrible, horrible because you can tell when money starts running out and insurance don't want to pay bills. You went from this big ass house to a small house to a small room to even smaller room to now in a box and,
Damn.
and the fucking dirt. And that's
That's fucked
reality.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, that's reality. And I want to be able. uh, I want to be able to enjoy that, right?
Yeah.
But enough about me. How long you been doing this podcast?
Man, I've been doing the podcast 5 years. I started out with a co-host, and
Mm,
I think, well, actually, not think, um, his life changed. You know, he had a baby, and he had to focus on his family, and
mm.
I had to decide like, what did I want to do with this, and I decided to keep it going, and fast forward, here I am today, and yeah,
How many
man,
episodes? How many episodes?
I just put out 189
Wow.
Tuesday. Yeah, I put out
Wow.
189.
Congrats.
I appreciate that, man. And I've definitely recorded more episodes than that, but like just released, and listening to you like talk about having 5 years of content is, it makes me feel like, man, I need to go back and go chop up some of these episodes that I have and
Yeah.
shit.
Have you? Because that's what the world has really come to, right? Because we lost and we lost we lose a lot of things in transition.
Yeah.
So everything is clips now. Like
Yeah.
our mine, our focus is so short, right? So everything's clips now. So if I were to go and chop shit up, like, man, I have I have enough.
And you know what? I think when I hit 200 episodes, I think I am going to take a pause and go back and go chop some stuff, because, like I said, I've been doing this for so long that, like the video podcast wasn't even really a thing when I was doing this, and I was recording video, but I was just kind of just saving it for myself. So it's like, okay, now that I have all of this
That was that was the
built
main
up,
thing for me. I
yeah,
didn't even care about the audio. It was a
yeah.
visual for me. That's what
I'm
I
curious to know
like.
why. Why was a video more important than audio for you?
Because when I first started 2 years ago, it wasn't that popular, and it wasn't a lot. Everybody was focused on audio. Like the podcast market was so saturated that was like it was impossible for me to go and throw my podcast out there
Yeah,
and become successful.
yeah,
And I wanted like I've always into like moving, directing, just visual art, tell a
yeah,
story. So I think like I wanted that. Like what I like about now that I look back is the evolution of the podcast.
yeah,
You know, at one moment I started with no background. This moment I had a background, microphones. Um, the most thing I love about it is the evolution of my thought process.
man, man. I agree with that. I do. I do. Like I told you how my podcast started out. It started out from me trying to work through some shit, trying to figure some shit
Mm,
out. And I'm still trying to work through things and figure things out, but it shifted to, okay, now I'm trying to figure out how to run my business,
mm,
and I feel like my audience has gotten to see me grow through my experience. It's like, okay, we started here, but now we working on building an empire. You know what I mean? Like really, really building something bigger. And it's funny, like even on those days when for me it feels like, man, what the fuck am I doing? Somebody will hit me up like, yo, I see the progression, I see the growth, I see what you're doing. So that's why I always tell people, like, man, share whatever the fuck you going through. Like if you got a podcast, share whatever
yeah,
the fuck you going through, because you never know how it may affect somebody else. And there's been days where I've been like, man, I don't feel like doing this shit. And I'll talk about it. Like, hey, I don't feel like doing it. And it'll take me down a rabbit hole of I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that, I'm stressing this. And you just never know how this shit will help somebody else. So that's kind of a driving force for me right now too.
yeah. Think outside of the box.
Yeah.
Think outside of the box. Because once again, like the podcast industry is very monetized right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
People that have money that were able to take their money, invest it, are the only ones that are making money.
Yeah, that's a fact.
So you gotta really like think outside of the box to market yourself. Um, build the following, subscription, all that is real.
Yeah.
To just find what's fit for you, right? Like I'm very active on Instagram. I
Okay.
got I don't I got Facebook, but that's like my personal shit.
Yeah.
Twitter, but a lot of people would tell you you gotta open here and here. Yeah, that's too fucking much.
Yeah.
A lot of a person's success is self-awareness and self-management.
Mm-hmm.
How much can you manage?
Yeah.
You know, what is worth you managing?
Yeah.
You feel me? So,
And I think you got to know your audience too. You got to know your people and where they at. Like, I am on all the social media platforms, but I do focus on Instagram because
mhm,
the age group of people that I speak to mostly are there, and even with that, it's like, okay, as I'm building these audience, like you said, build the subscriptions. I'm doing Patreon now, like really trying to create experience for people to make it valuable for them to pay for it. I did my first live show 2 weeks ago. First
wow,
live recording with an audience and shit. And it was really dope. And we packed out the room. We packed out the
boom,
room. Yeah.
congrats,
I
that's beautiful.
appreciate that, man. Cause I have never done it before, didn't know who was gonna show up,
But
what was
that
gonna
that's
happen.
that's good. See, because a lot of people will tell you, "Oh, you should go live. You should go live." Like, I don't want to go live. That's a waste of time
Yeah,
because nobody's listening. Nobody's following. Unfortunately, you gotta do the hard work.
yeah,
You gotta
yeah,
build, build, build. Like for me, like I have all my episodes with a guest.
yeah. That's what's up.
All my episodes is with a guest. I never wanted to do one alone because I would feel like I was just ranting.
Yeah,
I refuse. I refuse to do it. And I like the back and forth of it, right? The actual conversation.
and you know
Yeah.
what? I'm gonna tell you, I will tell you, be open to doing one by yourself. And the only reason I say that is because when I started doing it by myself, I was like, man, nobody's gonna listen to this shit. I really
Mm,
believe like nobody wanted to hear it. And I'll tell you, some of my best episodes have been the ones I've done by myself
mm,
because I didn't really have to focus on somebody else. Like the
mm,
focus was really on me because in talking to somebody else, like yeah, you talk about yourself, they talk about them, or you just have a conversation. But when you bring that focus to you, and you're not, like even like having this conversation, like you probably had an idea what you wanted to talk to me about or anything, but by yourself, it's like fuck, I don't have nothing to really
nah.
prepare for. Let
If
me
you
just
if you
see
only
what
know
comes out.
this is raw.
Yeah,
I never think that's the thing. I never think people do their due diligence on what they're bringing in.
yeah,
I don't do that. I don't do that
that's what's
because
up.
I need that liveness.
Yeah,
I need that. I need that on pointness because it's gonna put you on point, right?
yeah.
When I do want to, like, it's true. When people come to me, uh, I don't do it. When there's something I'm intriguing, like I'm like, I think episode 106, he's paranormal. He's a Sasquatch investigator. Like
Okay.
that's something I did my due diligence because it's something like like I'm curious. I'm
Yeah,
curious, right? Um, but I like the organic. I like
me too.
the fly. Me doing it alone, honestly, like it's scary.
That's
It's
fair.
not it's not scary for me. It's
Yeah,
scary for the person listening to it because I'm a person like my thoughts are like chess,
yeah,
right? So if there's a situation like happening in the news,
yeah,
so I look at it as chess. What move? What are they trying? So I challenge your thought process. I
yeah,
challenge your belief. I like to become the advocate of chaos. I like to push the boundaries because I need you to think.
yeah.
I need you to think. And that's something that we have been losing in society.
I agree. I agree. And I think a lot of times it's because society makes people feel not safe to have their own thoughts and their own opinions. Like it's safer to agree with everybody else, you know?
Yeah, and I'll ask you, like I'll ask another person, right? When have we ever been safe?
I've never felt safe ever in
Boom,
life.
there you go.
Yeah, I'm and you know what? That's why I live my life the way I do. That's why I live in such a fearless way because it's like I've never really felt safety. So why would I try to fit into somebody else's box?
100%, 100%, and you know, and I don't try to do it intentionally, but like I need you to think
Yeah,
because we live in a society that a lot of people are just they call themselves victims, and the true victims that people actually need help are not getting it.
yeah.
So it's uh it's going back to like I got my certificate in journalism from
Oh,
Michigan
that's what's
State
up.
University. Yeah.
That's dope.
Um, thank you, because I noticed that I like to dive deep into shit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and one thing I learned was that as a journalist, you you shouldn't have opinions. You have to take the information you have and put it out there and let the people decide.
Yeah,
So I try to do that. But it's chaotic because people just they take certain sides and willing to die there.
yeah,
They're not willing to uh, have a conversation just to understand.
yeah. I agree. I agree. And I think a lot of times people feel like you have to agree with them. And I don't ever need somebody to agree with me. We can have a
Mm.
conversation, we can have difference in opinion, but it's really all about learning. Like I feel like I can learn something from just about anybody.
Yeah, yeah, 100%, 100%. So what uh what are some certain topics that we can any listener of you can find on your podcast? Like what are some things that you express or you're venting that can actually you feel that can help?
Man, I talk a lot about self-love. I talk a lot about
Mm,
confidence.
mm,
I try to have a lot of inspirational conversations. So I talk to people about like when I talk to somebody that's doing something dope and like you said, like something I want to learn more about, like I'm always curious and I just ask the questions, or even if it's something that I'm experiencing. Like I feel like lately I've been talking to a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of people that are other podcasters that are like doing shit, at a higher level, so I can learn something because it's like, okay, you doing what I want to do. I need those tools. I need that information. So how
mhm.
can I get it from you? Talk about a lot of black stuff, talk about a lot of queer stuff. I really talk about a lot of stuff that's related to my life. And it's dope. Like I could tell you when people listen to my show, like the thing I hear most is that it's raw, it's authentic, and it's
Mm.
inspiring. And those three words for me, I feel like describe myself. So when I hear that word raw, is like some people may take that as negative, but I like that. I like that it's raw because I want you to feel what I'm saying, and I don't want to deliver it in a way that's too pretty or too nice. Like I want it to be real.
Yeah, I feel it 100%.
Yeah.
What is your top episode that you're proud of?
Man,
I mean, so many, right?
you know what? I do have a lot of episodes that I truly love. I think one of my favorite episodes is probably uh so last year I did my fifth anniversary episode, and actually I did two fifth-year anniversary episodes, and I did them both with people who, and I know earlier we were talking about like mentors and shit like that,
Mm,
but two people that I do consider mentors of mine, because one of them, I started my podcast because of a podcast I heard of his, and it's this DJ that's on the radio out here named Anthony Valadez, and he started a podcast like 5 years ago about like a podcast about podcasting and how easy it was. And I remember listening to it, and I started my podcast after that. And I just reached out to him, and during the pandemic, we did a Zoom episode, and I had never done a virtual episode or anything before. We did it. It was cool. And then when I did my fifth year episode, it was like, man, this is the dude that inspired me to do this, to now have him as a guest on what I'm doing. That felt cool. Like it was kind of like just full circle, a reflection of just my journey and where I had been. And I've had some cool ones, man. I've had my mom on the show. I've had like some of my friends from college. I've had some dope episodes. I'm not gonna lie. Actually, you know what? I had a friend from college. I did this residency with Spotify last year. They reached out to
Nice.
me to record at their studio and shit. And one of my best friends from college did it with me, and we just really reflected on like my journey of creativity. And I gave it from my perspective, but he gave it from the perspective of watching it, you know. And it was an emotional episode, so that felt good, you know. It was cool.
That's dope. That's dope.
I
Uh,
appreciate that.
it's dope. How, in what way informed by creating this amazing platform, creating this amazing podcast that you're doing? Um, how has it helped you as a person? How has it shaped or changed your life in a way?
Man, it has really gave me so much exploration into myself. And I've seen so much growth in myself from the first episode to the last one I released. I
Mm,
feel my confidence. I feel um I just feel I feel so sure of myself, and so true to myself, you know. Like I could say 5 years ago, like I was just trying to figure shit out. You know, I was in a place in life where I was just really trying to figure shit out. And being where I'm at today, it's like, man, I feel good about where I'm at. You know, I was really depressed, you know, back then. And not to say that I don't feel depression sometimes, but it's like I know how to deal with that shit. I got the tools now for that shit. And even like just seeing the way that it's helped other people, um, that that for me is what really makes this shit valuable, is knowing like me just sharing my journey. And I'm not doing anything more unique than anybody else. I'm just really talking about my life, letting other people share their lives. And is something about it is working, something about it is connecting, you know. So I really embrace that shit.
that's beautiful. That's
I
beautiful.
appreciate that.
I'm happy that you were able to create something so beautiful, meaningful. Because a lot of these platforms, you know, they create them for money.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything is, yeah, we'll do this, but then their true intentions is to create money, right? Everybody needs money, but when you have something that it's created because a necessity of help or betterment, improvement, for oneself or for a community, people in general, that right there is gonna last so much and become so special.
I appreciate that, man. Like that's really been my mission, my whole journey, from doing music to podcasting, whatever it is that I'm doing in life. Like my mission is to help people and to inspire people. And I see that in all of the work I do, and not even just in work. I see that in my relationships with my friends, with my family. I see it. So it's just like, okay, I'm sticking the course. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And that's the shit that drives me.
Mm, good. Have you ever? And I only asked this question because I I was asked it. Somebody asked me, like, if you had to stop doing it, what would the reason be?
Um, I'm not breathing. like just keeping it real. Like honestly, um, this shit keeps me sane. Like creating keeps me sane. If I wasn't creating, I'd probably die. And
Mm,
I really do feel like that. Like if I wasn't doing something creative, like even, you know, podcasting for me feels like music. Like it feels like a way for me to create and express myself. So if I wasn't doing podcasting, if I wasn't doing music, if I wasn't writing, if I wasn't doing anything creative at all, I'd probably die.
I hear that shit.
Yeah.
That's what that's what gives purpose, right?
Yeah.
I got earlier today. I was told that I'm a thinker because I have a young mind, and I explained like it's not that. It's that when you have purpose,
Yeah.
you will outlive a lot of motherfuckers.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Because that's what drives you to get up in the morning and do what you do.
Yeah.
And if you don't find something that gives you purpose and makes you happy, that shit just sucks sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
And you know what? My whole life, even though it has evolved over time, like I've always been passionate about the things I'm passionate about. So like if I was a kid and I was passionate about basketball, I'm invested fully in basketball. If I'm in music, I'm fully invested. So like everything in all parts of my journey that I've done, I've always been invested in it. And I've always just found like my purpose within it. And I think a lot of people struggle with that. So, you know, one, that's sad. Two, it's scary because I can't imagine living life without knowing what I truly want to do. So with the life I do have, it's like, man, let me be an example. Let me, rather than telling you what you need to do or how to do it, let me just show you.
make it count.
Yeah.
Whatever you do, whatever you set your mind to, just make it count.
Yeah.
Make it count for the better, not for the worse. Because not everything you do, you're gonna be great at it.
Yeah.
You feel me? Like, but when you do it, give it your all, give it your best, and enjoy that.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, when it's time to clock out, like when you're about to, say goodbye to this world, like you want to be able to like feel content.
Yeah, man.
and
Yeah.
and those last seconds filled with memories. You want that last tear to be fucking amazing because you lived it, you enjoyed it, you wanted it. And everything you did was worth it. You didn't have to build a great life. Building a good life is good.
Yeah.
You know, having the fucking big mansion and these fucking cars, that's fine and dandy, but that's not a life. Those are life. Those are objects in your life.
Right. Yeah.
You know, you know, it's you have to experience to be able to understand it sometimes.
Yeah.
And if you do that, you'll be okay.
I agree, man. Like, self value is the most valuable thing, over all those possessions.
Yeah. Well, Mike, it's been an honor speaking to you, man.
Man, I appreciate you having me. This was really dope. It was really dope.
It's whenever you want to hit me up, I'm down to come on your show.
That's a bet. Yeah. Yeah, let's do
it. Before we go, let the people know where they can find you at.
Man, you can find me on all social media at the Art of Letting Go podcast. You can hit me up, www.theartoflettinggopodcast.com or justmikebrown.com for music, merch, all that stuff. I'm reachable. I'm everywhere. I'm Google.
Go check them out. Yes. Go check him out or support him. Listen to his podcast and let him know what episode that you listen to helped you in a way, because having that good feedback, it brings light into our souls.
Yeah, man, it really does. It really does.
All right. Make sure to go follow me at Instagram, Mr.DreamInspireObtain. I'm there if you need me. Have a good night, guys. I'm out.